Now we go to the synergy, the highest level of relationships, where we have to ask the question, can we create a win-win relationship? 4 people principles. Number 22, the boomerang principle. When we help others, we help ourselves. Or as Andrew Carnegie said, no man becomes rich unless he enriches others. The question I must ask myself is, do I experience a return when I help others? Too many times people approach life like a slot machine. They want to put as little in as possible and hopefully get a lot in return. There are 3 types of people I've noticed. There are, number 1, takers. Now, takers receive and never give. Many people focus on themselves and rarely go out of their way to do anything for others, and such people are takers. They worry only about what they can get, and they're never satisfied. Then there are traders. Receive and then give. Some people focus on keeping score. They are willing to give, but their primary motivation isn't to help others. They see relationships as an exchange. Often they give because they think they owe something to someone who has helped them, and they desire to make things even. Number 3, investors. They give and then receive. In the third group, people focus on others. They give first and then they receive something if something is offered in return. They believe that success comes from being helpful, caring, and constructive. They desire to make everything and everyone they touch better, and they understand that the best way to accomplish that is to give of themselves. Ironically, by possessing an agenda to give first, they are the ones who most often experience the synergy of a win-win relationship. So what do investors do? 1, they thank others first. And 2, they don't expect short-term gain. And number 3, they invest in people with potential. Let me just stop here for a moment. In 1995, I spent 6 months making a list of 10 people that I would invest in. It took me quite some time to settle in on those that I should really do this with. To be honest with you, I took a spiritual route and I did some prayer. But I also just tried to observe and tried to find people that I especially thought had greater potential than me, that if I would serve them and if I would just invest in them, the return would be pretty huge. And I determined that I would never tell them that they were on my list. I would just invest in them. I can tell you, I started that in 1995. The list has somewhat changed. Of the 10 that I started off with, there are 4 still on the list. But through the process of time, some I helped for a period of time, and then I felt that I had invested in them as much as I could to help them in the areas that I could help them in, and many of them have gone on to do just tremendous things. And so I would add, as I would drop one off, I would add another one. 10 people. They to this day don't know. They never will. The satisfaction is in me knowing that I'm giving, expecting nothing in return. And then as I watch them do well, the reward is amazing. Now, they're not doing well just because of my investment. In fact, to be honest with you, most of them are very confident they would do well without my investment. But they're doing better because of my investment. And I know that. That's what I'm talking about in this whole issue of investing in people. If you do those 3 things, think of others first, don't expect short-term gains, invest in people with potential. Number 4 is bound to happen. You will enjoy a return in due season. That's a fact. Poet Edwin Markham wrote, "There is a destiny that marks us as brothers. No one goes his way alone, and all that we send into the lives of others comes back into our own." People principle number 23 is the friendship principle. And the friendship principle says, all things being equal, people will work with people they like. All things not being equal, they still will. Thoreau said, "The most I can do for a friend is simply be his friend." And the question that I must ask myself, am I a friend to the people I work with? There are 4 levels of business relationships. As soon as you understand the way that relationships affect business, you begin to realize that all business relationships are not created equal. As I have studied the subject, I have focused and I have discovered that there are 4 levels. Number 1 is people knowledge. Your understanding of people helps you build your business. In the introduction of this book, I discussed the importance of people skills and business relationships. They are absolutely essential to success. All the product knowledge in the world won't help someone without people skills, nor will technical expertise, nor will the ability to build a brilliantly efficient organization. If individuals don't possess people skills, they very quickly hit a ceiling in their effectiveness. People knowledge. But number 2 is service skills. Your treatment of people helps build your business. Barry Gibbons, the author of This Indecision is Final, maintains, between 70 and 90% of decisions not to repeat a purchase of anything are not about product or price. They are about some dimension of service, of the service relationship. Number 3 is business reputation. Your reputation for relationships helps you build the business. Howard Hodgkin said, whatever business you're in, you are in the business of relationships. That's why your reputation is your greatest asset. And then number 4, personal friendship. Your friendship with others builds your business. The highest level of business relationships is reached when people like your business, but more important, they like you. When there's a heartfelt personal connection to another person, it becomes stronger than any other kind of business bond. That's why I say, all things being equal, people will work with people they like, and all things not being equal, they still will. Friendship is the difference maker. During the war in Vietnam, General William Westmoreland was reviewing a platoon of paratroopers, and he would go down the line and he'd ask them the same question, how do you like jumping? And they would say, love it, sir. And he just got the same greatest experience of my life, sir. And he just kept getting these wonderful positive things about parachuting. And he came down the line and finally came to a soldier and asked him the question, how do you like jumping? And he said, I hate it, sir. And then the general said, well, then why do you do it? And he said, because I want to be around the guys who do it, sir. It's the whole relationship factor. All things being equal. People will do business with people they like. All things not being equal, they still will. Number 24. People principle number 24. The partnership principle. Working together increases the odds of winning together. Or as tiny Mother Teresa said, you can do what I cannot do, and I can do what you cannot do. Together we can do great things. And the question you must ask yourself, are others better off because of their partnership with me? And my journey to understanding the partnership principle begins like this. Number 1, I want to make a difference. Like many people, I started out in what I call the self stage. My focus was on me and what I could do. That's not to say I was doing anything wrong. My motives were positive. It's just that my perspective, along with my effectiveness, was so limited. Then I went to stage 2. I want to make a difference with people. When I began to look at myself, I discovered that I could go farther and achieve more when others joined me on their journey. And as a result, I wanted to take everybody with me. It didn't take long for me to realize that was a mistake, and here's why. Not everyone should take the trip. Passion Have you ever worked with people who said that they were on board with you and believed in what you were doing to accomplish, yet you kept having to talk them into doing their part? Those people have no passion for their work. They may want to take the ride, but they have no interest in pedaling. Take them on and you will wear yourself out. Not everyone wants to take the trip. That deals with attitude. Some people just don't believe in you or what you're doing. That doesn't mean you're wrong, or it doesn't make them wrong. It just means you shouldn't try to take them with you. Not everyone can take the trip. Ability. The difference between a partnership, oh, this is a great statement. The difference between a partnership and a rescue mission is capacity. Some people may want to make a difference, but they have no ability to affect what you're doing. You cannot afford to partner with someone with who there is no fit. The main lesson I learned during this phase is that I should try to build relationships with everyone, but I should forge partnerships with only a few. So I've gone from I want to make a difference to I want to make a difference with people to number 3. I want to make a difference with people who want to make a difference. English statesman Henry Van Dyke observed, in the process of personality, first comes a declaration of independence, then a recognition of interdependence. Number 4, I want to make a difference with people who want to make a difference doing something that makes a difference. Only at this stage in my life have I entered what I call the significant stage. I have many rewarding relationships, partnerships, and together we are doing many things that are making a positive impact by helping others. I can't imagine anything more rewarding. Rabbi Harold Kushner remarked, "The purpose of life is not to win. The purpose of life is to grow and to share." When you come to look back on all that you have done in life, you will get more satisfaction from the pleasure you have brought into other people's lives than you will from the times that you outdid and defeated them. I believe that to be true. Not too long ago, about 10 years ago, I crossed an important line in my life where one day I awakened to the fact that the success of others and what I can contribute to their success is more meaningful to me than my own personal success. That's the day that I changed my definition of success. And I began to understand that success for me is not personal success, but success for me is adding value to others and watching them be more successful. Now, what I understand about this journey, and what I understand about partnership is very simple. Life is very short, and it's difficult to accomplish significant things without others. So the quicker you and I understand the value of partnership, and we look at others to complete us instead of others to compete with us, all of a sudden, life begins to take on a whole new dimension, and it begins to compound immeasurably. I have a nonprofit organization called Equip. We're right now training 1 million leaders internationally. We're in Asia, Africa, getting ready to launch Europe. And I have these people who every 6 months go out and train and develop them and go to these international areas and take workbooks and spend 2 days and teach them. It's an incredible, incredible journey. And we train them, and then we give them 25 workbooks on leadership, and they go train 25 people. So every time if we teach to 1,000, we're really teaching to 25,000. And we not only give them the workbooks, but we give them another leadership book and begin to develop their library. And it's just an amazing process of what's happening. I don't have time to tell you that. But there are about 200 to 300 people that are core of making this vision a reality. Amazing, isn't it? 250 people, the core and responsible for training 1 million. And I have on this finger a ring that my wife designed, a special ring. It's called a 1 Million Leader Mandate ring. It's got the picture of the globe on the front of it. because the world is our mission and training leaders is our passion. And those 250, when we finish completing training 1 million, we're going to go on a cruise together. We're going to spend a week. And it's in that setting one night, my wife and I will take these rings and we'll give it to every person that's on this mission with us. And then we'll break the mold so there'll never be a ring like it. Partnership. I can tell you this. You can do it alone if you want to, but it's not near as much fun. And if you do it by yourself, you won't be near as effective. People principle number 25. The satisfaction principle. The satisfaction principle basically says, in great relationships, the joy of being together is enough. In fact, a joy shared is a joy doubled. And the question I must ask myself is, do my closest friends enjoy just being with me? Jack Benny and George Burns were very good friends, and here's what George Burns said of his friend Jack Benny. Jack and I had a wonderful friendship for nearly 55 years. Jack never walked out on me while I sang a song, and I never walked out on him when he played the violin. We laughed together, we played together, we worked together, we ate together. I suppose that for many of those years, we talked every single day. I think all of us would love to have a relationship like Benny and Burns, or like that of an older married couple that we've met. But how do we get there? The foundation is built upon all the previous people principles in this book. A lasting relationship begins as a healthy relationship. Beyond that, I believe that 4 factors help to create the right climate for relationships where simply being together is enough. Number 1, shared memories create a bonded environment. Margaret and I have been married for over 35 years. When we entered in this marriage relationship, we never had an idea that I would be able to do what I've been able to do, travel where I've been able to travel. But I can tell you this, we determined that if I was ever going to go to some place exciting, and she wanted to go, I'd take her with me. Now, in the first few years, when that happened, I had to borrow money because I didn't have any money. So I would borrow money from a family member and take those few $100s, and she would go with me on the trip. Because basically what we settled was very simple. I don't want us to come to the end of our life and somehow be on the deathbed and me tell her all the exciting things I've done. No, I'm not into that. I'm not into show and tell. I'm into let's experience it together. Number 2, growing together creates a committed environment. Beginnings and endings are often much easier than the hard work of sustaining relationships. Why? Beginning relationships possess the excitement of starting together. Continuing relationships possess the commitment of sticking together. But lasting relationships possess the joy of staying together. So what is the bridge that spans the gap between relationships that start together and those that stay together? The answer is growth. People who grow together become more committed to one another, and I think they are usually happier too. Number 3, mutual respect creates a healthy environment. On her 25th wedding anniversary, Abigail Van Buren put the following letter to her husband in her syndicated Dear Abby column. Here's what she said. Dear Mort, today is a very special day for me. It's my 25th wedding anniversary, and I have this to say. I had a mother and father who really loved each other, so I know what love is. I've worked hard to see 2 teenagers safely through their traumatic teens, so I know what satisfaction is. I've prayed and my prayers have been answered, so I know what faith is. I've had by my side the kindest, gentlest, most considerate human being I have ever known, so I know what joy is. I love you. Respect within a relationship creates a healthy environment because it produces two things. First, it creates trust. And as you know, trust is the foundation of all relationships. And second, it engenders servanthood. People almost can't stop themselves from helping and serving someone they deeply respect. As Albert Einstein said, only a life lived for others is worthwhile. Number 4, unconditional love. Create a safe environment. Children's author Dinah Marie Murlock wrote, "Oh, the inexpressible comfort of feeling safe with a person, having neither to weigh thoughts nor measure words, but to pour them all out just as they are, chaff and grain together, knowing that a faithful hand will take and sift them, keep what is worth keeping, and then with the breath of kindness blow the rest away." When somebody loves you with no strings attached and no personal agenda, it is the most freeing thing in the world. It creates a safe environment wherever you are. It's just like I was on the plane the other day and Margaret was traveling with me, and somebody asked me, said, "Where's home for you?" Because they surmised I travel a lot. I pointed over to Margaret and I said, "Wherever she is. That's where home is. Now we have a house, but if I'm just with her, I'm home." I feel very fortunate to have Margaret. I tell people all the time that the greatest decision I ever made was to ask her to marry me. I think about that daily, and I try to tell her as often as I can. And on Valentine's Day, 2004, I wrote her a note reflecting on our relationship, and she's given me permission to share it with you. Margaret, it was about this time 40 years ago that we started dating. Although each year seems to be going by quicker than the previous one, our lives have been filled with memories. At 56, I have forgotten many, but the special ones are still today very real to me. I ask myself, were the memories special because of what we did or because we experienced them together? The answer is both. The specialness was greater because we were together. When we are apart, I look forward to our telephone time each evening. It's the highlight of my day. Why? It's because we both share our list of things that have happened to us that day. No, it's because we are once again together. I can well remember the anticipation I felt when we were courting as I drove from Circleville to Chillicothe for a date night with you. I could hardly wait. The years have not diminished the anticipation to once again see you after I've been gone. That's why I call you as I leave the airport on my way home. Margaret, the joy you display when you see me again has stayed strong over all these years. Every time I call, you answer the phone with the same excitement that expresses to me that I'm loved. I'll never forget the time you sold some of your Ohio State textbooks and bought a bus ticket so that you could surprise me and we could have an evening together, or the time you traveled from Nepal to Delhi to spend an extra night with me. Those extra efforts to be together are what have made our marriage so successful. A relationship never stays the same. It either grows closer or apart. 40 years after ours began, we still like to be together. Let's take a walk to the mailbox. Love, John. Final review of the people principles for winning with people. The readiness question. Are we prepared for relationships? And I shared with you people principles that help you get prepared for those relationships. Then there was the connection question. Are we willing to focus on others? And we talked about the fact that after we fix ourselves, only then can we begin to focus on others. Too many times we focus on others and have never fixed ourselves first. Then comes the trust question. Can we build mutual trust? It's essential in the relationship because without trust, relationships can never flourish. Once we realize that we can connect, we can trust, then comes the investment question. Am I now willing to invest in this relationship and not make it 50-50, but give it 100%, being the first to be the giver, knowing that as I give, things will return back. And then finally, the highest level of relationships is when synergy appears. And there's a win-win relationships that really, to be honest with you, makes both of us better than we are ourselves. Done correctly, the value compounds. And when I wrote the book, Winning with People, here's what I know. If you'll take those people principles, apply them to your life, I would suggest taking one a week for 25 weeks. I would suggest reading the book and then saying, okay, I'm going to, this week, work on principle number 1. And in all of your relationships, see how it fleshes out. And at the end of the week, give yourself a score from 1 to 10. Don't be discouraged if your score is a little low. It's okay. You've got to know where you are and define reality before you can fix anything in your life. It's okay. Relax. But the reason I say one people principle per week is if you really focus on that people principle, I will promise you this. At the end of the week, you will be better at it than you were at the first of the week. And if you stay focused on it, after a while, it will not be just a principle in your life. After a while, it'll be a habit. And when you have developed habits out of these people principles, it is a fact. You will learn to win with people. Thank you very much.